It's Divas That Care Radio. Stories, strategies, and ideas to inspire positive change. Welcome to Divas That Care, a network of women committed to making our world a better place for everyone. This is a global movement for women, by women, engaged in a collaborative effort to create a better world for future generations. To find out more about the movement, visit divasthatcare.com after the show. Right now, though, stay tuned for another jolt of inspiration.
Welcome to Confidence in Bloom, where we explore the moments that shape our confidence and remind us that we were never meant to stay hidden. This season is all about speaking up and standing firm, using our voices with courage, setting healthy boundaries, and learning to advocate for ourselves with confidence and grace. Today's guest is someone who has built businesses, led teams, embraced innovation, and created spaces where women can rise together. Robin Sims Allen is a serial entrepreneur, technology leader, founder of Phoenix Marcus, and the visionary behind Total Her, a platform created to connect, empower, and elevate women around the world. But behind every successful entrepreneur is a story of courage, setbacks, learning, and finding the confidence to keep showing up. Robin, welcome to Confidence in Bloom. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you.
Me too.
Awesome. Now let's get started. When you think back over your life, can you remember a specific moment when you realized that your voice actually mattered? You know, maybe a time when you spoke up or wish you had and it had changed something in you?
Well, let's see. So there would be different times. There would be times where I knew I needed to speak up and felt like my voice needed to be heard, but I didn't have the confidence to do so. So the time that I knew that I needed to speak up was probably about 10, somewhere in between the ages of 10 and 12. When did I become confident enough to speak out? I would probably say that happened around age 23, 24.
Wow. Okay. So there's you're luckily at 23, 24, you felt strong, right? That you could do that at 10, 11, you're still learning, you're learning your kind of your grounding in life, right? And that's really a sensitive time in our lives where you want to say something, but like in your case, you probably just felt like, I don't know, I think I'll just get, we used to say a backhand. We never got the backhand, but it was sort of the look, right? We used to get the look like now's not the time.
Well, see, and that's the thing. When I was about that age, I was giving adults life coaching advice,
Wow.
literally at that age, which is why my nickname back then was Geezer, because I was literally in person that was young, but I was wise. And it probably came from the fact that I didn't really read like children related things. I was reading like Danielle Steele, James Patterson. I was reading stuff like that when I was like 7 and 8 years old.
Oh
So I
my
didn't even,
goodness.
I think the most kiddie thing that I read was probably the Babysitter's Club. But other than that, everything else, I was Nora Roberts, Danielle Steele, all of that. So that's why I said I really knew I had something to say at that age. I just didn't just confidently, only in closed settings or censored settings.
Right. So you were like really like a child living in an adult world. Did you have siblings or were you an only child?
I was an only child for a period of time. I do have a brother, but he is like 7 or 8 years behind me. So by the time we got in the same household, I was older.
Ah, okay. So yeah, you were sort of like, he's too young for me. So you were like, you felt like you were part of the adult world.
Yes. And
Yeah.
to the whole thing, my whole childhood, I maybe spent maybe a year or so as a kid with my brother. And then other than that, we didn't really spend a whole lot of time together until we were both adults.
Wow. I hope you have a good relationship now.
We do, yes.
Excellent. I know there comes an age where all of a sudden it doesn't really matter, how much older or younger you are than each other. Like we're all adults now,
Yep.
right? Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. Have there been seasons where you questioned yourself or felt pressure to make yourself smaller in order to fit into the room? And if so, what helped you stay true to who you are instead of who others expected you to be?
Right now. I'm in that season right now. It's almost kind of like knowing too much is a problem. Or being knowledgeable in one particular area is almost frowned upon. So it's literally that season that I'm in right at this particular moment, especially at the point of trying to grow my business and I'm looking for investors and different things of that nature. So you almost have to kind of play two different roles. You either have to be the smartest one in the room or the dumbest one. It just depends. So it's definitely that season that I'm dealing with right now. The difference is I know the end goal. The so it's a temporary thing. It's kind of being transactional, but transformational and moving forward at the same time and knowing when to be.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And that's, we all know that this, we learn these things through our life, right? Through our own personal experience. I'm interested to know maybe if you could share a story that taught you how to create like safe spaces for you as well as for the people that you know so that they can be heard and um, and how those people sort of become important to you.
That's just in general, women, in general. I've had several conversations with women over the past, I want to say about 12, 13 years. They're either struggling mentally, because they're going through a lot, they're trying to maintain things, they're trying to have families, or they're looking at the destruction of a family. There may be addiction in the family, it may be fertility issues. But what I noticed was it was a lot of conversations about fulfillment and career. So with that, they were either building their careers or they're trying to exit their career and try to do their own thing, or they're branching out. It was always something related to trying to have meaningful, purposeful type of life. And a lot of it boiled down or trickled down to financial. And when we started unpacking the things that they need, that is why I created the venture Total Her, because it addressed all of those needs that women were telling me that they were looking for, that they were missing in the market they were currently in.
Right, right. And I would imagine that many of those conversations were around boundaries, right? Because, I
Always.
mean, yeah, like their boundaries, relationships, right? Like I want this, but I don't want it to damage this. And I want to move forward in my career, but I also want to have a family. Those kinds of conversations, I'm sure were many, right?
Yeah.
Now that brings me to wonder, like, what kind of boundary did you like when you speak with these women, the boundaries that you had to sort of encourage them to set? Some of them would have been super difficult, right? But how would you bring them to sort of allow themselves to set that boundary and then really honor it? How would you do that?
Simply asking, what are your non-negotiables? And whatever those are, stick to it. Don't do anything beyond that. And I'm also a strong advocate of going above and beyond and not having that energy matched. You probably don't need to be doing that. So that goes for anything. If you're working at a workforce and you're putting 110% in, they're not valuing you, they're not treating you well, then stop doing over the amount. Meet them at the description that you were hired for and leave it there. Don't do a extra step over that. Same thing, your marriage or your relationships with your friends. If that energy is not being matched, don't do over, because it's not going to come back to you in a way that you expected. You're not going to get that return that you're looking for. Either it's going to drain you or it's going to somehow leave you with the point of where you feel like you're getting less. And it's not
Right.
really about getting less. It's really about matching what you're
Right.
receiving, putting
And
out what you expect to get back in.
right. And so, okay, so let's say I don't really understand if it's matching, right? Like we've had this discussion, and I set a boundary, and you've given me this advice that you just gave me. How do I know that the energy coming from the other person in this relationship is truly matching me? Right? Does it
If
make me
you
feel
have
a
a
certain way?
difficult If you have a difficult time trying to establish whether or not that is reciprocal at any point, then my best next advice to you is literally write a list of pros and cons. What are the things that occurred? What are the things that you found were against your boundary, against your morals, against your ethics, whatever it was? Write those things down under the con section. And then the pros, what exactly were the wins? What were you getting out of that? What was accomplished? What was the action behind that? What was the reward of that particular action? And when you go to compare that list and you have more cons than you do pros, it's not reciprocal. Let it go.
Oh, I see. So it's not necessarily just a feeling. It's more of what you're seeing. Like it could be, I guess it could be a feeling depending on how you accept it, right? But you're saying there's more to it than just how you're feeling.
Yes, I mean,
Yeah.
always fact check your feelings, because feelings can change from moment to moment. And a lot of times, if you are feeling triggered or angry or happy or whatever it is, that next moment after that is going to either validate that particular feeling or you're going to feel in conflict with that particular feeling. So that is why I'm saying write the pros and the cons list, because you're going to be able to play those things back and you'll be able to say, okay, well, this was a con for me. This was a positive for me. And that's how you would go about it. And then I
Right.
always say, never write these lists when you're feeling emotional, when you're angry or anything like that. Matter of fact, try not to have conversations with people when you are feeling angry and different things of that nature, because what you're going to say is probably not really your true feelings, but they could be taken out of context, and then now you have to apologize for it after the fact. So it's
Right.
just best to approach the situation diplomatically.
Right. And that totally makes sense, right? Like I know myself when I'm feeling emotional, whether it's angry, happy, or sad, or whatever it is, I look at the world in general differently, right? And
Yep.
then if I can walk into a room with like a kind of like know nothing kind of state, I can see what's happening in a more neutral eye.
Yes. And you
Yeah,
want to enter a room just like that. Because if
exactly.
you were feeling one way or emotional or this way or not, you could be not having the right conversations. You might need some particular information or something to happen in that room. And if you have come in with some type of biased reaction or feeling, then you're not going to get it. You're not going to get what you're seeking at the end of it. So you want to always enter a room with just being unknown, feeling the unknown. You don't know what's going to happen. This could be a positive experience or it could be a negative, but don't
Right,
go in there thinking one way or another, because then
right.
everything is going to lead one way or another.
Right. You're going to continue to go that way. And if you don't, and you end up going on the other side, it's going to be biased in some way or another. Yeah,
Right.
I like that. I like that answer. What do you think keeps women from speaking up or asking for support?
Probably concerned with what people think about them. And that's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. I think everyone should be cognizant of what other people think about them, but at the same time, it shouldn't determine your actions. You should be whoever you are authentically, regardless of whether or not, I mean, you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea anyway. So just don't even have the expectation of meeting everyone's expectation.
Right. Yeah.
So it's just as simple as that. You're just be who you are,
Right.
exactly who you are.
Exactly. I love that. And so when you, in your experience, what do you think happens to a woman, or what have you seen happens to a woman when she realizes that she doesn't have to do everything all alone?
A couple of things happen. Either she came to that conclusion by way of voluntarily, or she came to that conclusion involuntarily, which means something imploded and something made her go into that particular framework. And it was a reaction or a response to something. So it's literally something that women just have to balance the scales with that, because you're either going to experience something that's going to lead you one way, or is going to experience something to lead you the opposite way. The only thing that I would be cognizant of is understanding that both are going to occur
Right.
regardless.
Right. Regardless. Exactly. I know that there's been times where I feel like I'm in this alone, right? I feel like I have to be the only one in this entire world going through this. And then I sit around a table with other women and they tell me, "Oh my God, yeah, I've been going through that myself," right? And I know in my own body I can literally feel the weight sort of dissipate, right? My shoulders feel more relaxed. My back tends to, like, I just sort of sit back in my chair and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm not alone. Right. And
Yeah,
so,
you have
and
to
I,
share what
exactly,
you're experiencing, share what you're
exactly,
feeling, because I guarantee you, you are not going through it by yourself.
exactly.
There's not one situation on earth that someone else hasn't gone through.
Right. And
Literally.
it may not be exactly the same. Like it might be, it might be through with your kids. It might be with your husband. It might be with a coworker. It might be you alone, because I mean, we have lots of, like hormone
Internal.
changes. Like it could be like an internal thing. Exactly. But someone is feeling that same shift of some sort. Right. And it's okay to share and reach out. Right. And know that there is someone that can hold your hand through it. Right. There's going to be those people that, you're all on your own with this, because they don't know. It's more about them not knowing how to handle it than it is about not knowing how to help you. They just don't know how to do that. Right.
And sometimes you don't need that. You don't need someone to actually walk you through a process. You just need someone to be of support. There has been times where I couldn't communicate my feelings to my friends, and we would just sit there in silence. Nobody says nothing.
And
And
sometimes that's enough.
that's enough.
Yes, yes, yes. I understand that. I only understand that because I've been through that, right? All I need is for you to hear me. That's it. I just want to say what's on my mind. I don't need you to say anything about it or to me or anything. Just hear me, right? I've
Yeah.
experienced that myself. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes you have that issue. I hear all the time with women, they have issues communicating with their husbands, primarily because men are programmed to solve. They fix. That's what they do. And a lot of times when women are trying to communicate with their husbands, it's not for them to fix. We just want you to listen.
Yeah. Just hear me
So
out.
yeah, so it just becomes you got to know your audience and
Right.
who you're. So if you're going to have a conversation with your husband and you know he's a fixer, probably just take the problem to him. Don't take the venting part, because he's
Right.
not going to understand.
Right, right. And women, I noticed, so I have two boys and a girl, and I noticed that when the boys have issues, they come to me with the issue alone. Whereas my daughter, she will bring the issue, but the issue is always at the end of the conversation. She gives me all the details of what
The
created
context.
the issue, right? And so, I mean, as a coach, I get it. I sort of let her do the talking. And with the boys, we get straight to the point because that's what they want. They want the solution and they want it right now. They don't need to pussyfoot around, the context, like you said, right? Whereas I find most women, they want to give the story. They want to tell you more about the story than, well, with my boys. I'm not saying they're all the same because I know that,
No, my son is the same way.
yeah.
Literally, he brings the problem, he wants the solution, and I'm like, well, tell me how you were feeling during the process. I mean, is that important? I mean, what do I do? Well, how did you arrive at this? It's literally that you're probing,
Right.
but a lot of, people in general, they literally just want to hear the solution. They don't want to talk through what happened because they probably have already talked through what happened internally and they just don't want to rehash that because they
Exactly.
may have thought what they were thinking was irrational in the first place. And they definitely don't want to see the judgment across someone's face when they do recap that.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, I think that it has a lot to do with that. And I know as a coach, we're not here to judge you, right? We're just here to help you and listen to you. And I mean our faces might show something you don't want to, but it's not real, right? Like it's not, we might be, expressive in our visit body language, but that doesn't mean we're taking it on as personal. Now,
Definitely.
tell me, Robin, if a woman who's listening today feels invisible or unheard, or maybe afraid to use her voice because she's worried about that judgment, what would you want her to know? And what's one small step that she could take this week to begin to start standing firmly in who she really is?
Communicate. And when I mean communicate in a way that makes sense to you. So if you are the type of person who is visual or expressive in that moment, take a video of yourself literally talking about what it is that is on your heart or burdening you and just talk it out. You don't have to send it to anybody. It doesn't need to go up on YouTube or whatever. It's just something you can simply play back. Or if you're a text person, I'm the type of person, I am a texter. So I will text out something and leave it in draft indefinitely. And that's what I do. I do the same thing in emails. I have like maybe 100 emails that I've never sent. I just needed to get my thoughts out and leave it somewhere and leave it there. Journaling works if you're a journaler. Me, I try not to do the journaler because it drives me, it gives me the feeling that I need to go back and recheck it. So that bothers me. So I can't do that. But other women can do that. Definitely. Or find you someone that you're comfortable with talking to. And whether that be someone that is a friend, or in my case, I enjoy talking to strangers. And the reason I like talking to strangers is because you don't have to worry that they've already prejudged you. They don't know you enough to have already come up with something. They don't know you enough to do anything but listen and give you their perspective, and they're going from there. So that could be anyone, a neighbor, that could be a person that you don't talk to on a regular basis. It could be an actual therapist or a coach. Utilize those resources. You can even, for if you really want some random advice, put it in Reddit. I mean, literally post it on Reddit and about 1 million people are going to respond. So you can do that. So there's a lot of ways you can blog if that's what you want to do. But what I will recommend is whatever you do, do not post your feelings about a situation on any public platform like Instagram, Facebook, X, none of those stuff, because that stuff is going to come back and haunt you later.
Isn't that the truth, right? Like we've all been there where you make a comment or you make a post and you get the attention that you were not looking for, right? We've all
Exactly.
been there. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's really good advice. Write it out. If you need to put it on paper, write it out. Whether it is in a journal or it's in an email or, like you said, a text message that you never send, do it. Make your, like, release that pressure, release those feelings, whatever way works for you. And if not, reach out to a coach, reach out to Robin, reach out to myself. Like, we can help you, right? That's what we want to do, right? We
Yep.
want to help women get through whatever tornadoes they're dealing with.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything else you would like our listeners to hear today?
No, just women, total hers out there. So if you are building a brand, scaling a brand, or if you want to know about scaling a brand, version 1 is already out in the App Store as well as Google Play. Version 2 is coming out soon, and version 2 is 1,000 times better than version 1, and you're going to really enjoy it.
Awesome. I love that. I love that. Maybe tell us a little bit more about what's it called? Total Her.
Total Her.
Total
Yes.
Her. Yeah. Tell us a little bit more.
So Total Her right now is a community-based platform dedicated strictly to women. So it's about community. It's about building your sisterhood, reaching out and finding your tribe. And what we're getting ready to transform into, version 2 that I was mentioning, is where we're literally going to change women's lives, because we're going to move from the traditional social networking platform to a future of work networking platform. So is getting ready to be an opportunity for women to get their time back in a way that works well for them, which means you'll be able to supplement your income or replace it in its entirety.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Well, congratulations on that, because that sounds like a really big, big feat.
Yes.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing all your expertise and your knowledge today, Robin. This has been so awesome. I always loved, when we talk empowering women. I think that's my thing, right? I want women to feel like, first of all, that they're not alone, and that
Right.
whatever they put their mind to, they can do. Right? Sometimes
Always.
they need a little bit of a push from, another female or another, coworker or friend or coach, whatever it is. And I love that we can share our words here and allow the women to learn that. So thank you so much for joining me today and for, sharing everything that you've had with us.
Definitely. It was fun.
Awesome.
Thank you
Awesome.
all.
I hope today's conversation encourages you to stand a little taller, speak a little more boldly, and remember that your voice deserves to be heard. If something in today's episode resonated with you and you're feeling ready to move forward beyond self-doubt, overwhelm, or second-guessing yourself, I'd love to support you. My work is all about helping women reconnect with themselves, trust their inner wisdom, and move forward with clarity and confidence, one meaningful step at a time. Until next time, keep blooming into the woman you were always meant to become.
Thanks for listening. This show was brought to you by Divas That Care. Connect with us on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on divasthatcare.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.